History books are filled with famous names, kings, conquerors, inventors we all know. But what about the others? The ones who worked in the shadows, who risked everything not for fame, but for what was right. The ones whose stories were almost erased. Today, we are uncovering the stories of 10 forgotten heroes. 10 people who changed the world, but whose names you have probably never heard. Let's begin with number 10, Shun Sugihara. In 1940, Shun Sugihara was a Japanese diplomat stationed in Lithuania. As Nazi Germany closed in, thousands of Jewish refugees surrounded the consulate, desperate for visas to escape. They had no other way out. Against direct orders from his government, Sugihara spent days and nights handwriting visas. He issued over 2,000 visas, saving an estimated 6,000 lives. When his train departed, he was still throwing signed visas out the window into the crowd. He was later fired by the Japanese government and lived in obscurity for decades. He simply said, "I had to do it." Number 9. Verena Sendler. A Polish social worker, Verena Sendler smuggled 2,500 Jewish children out of the Warsaw Ghetto during the Holocaust. She and her network used ambulances, toolboxes, and sewer pipes to rescue the children, giving them new identities and placing them with foster families. The Nazis captured her, tortured her, and broke her feet, but she never revealed a single name. She buried the lists of the children's real names in jars, hoping to reunite them with their families after the war. Most of those families perished, but because of Verena, those 2,500 children had a future. Number 8. Stanislav Petrov. On September 26, 1983, the world came closer to nuclear war than ever before. Lieutenant Colonel Stanislav Petrov was the duty officer at a Soviet nuclear early warning center. The alarm screamed. The computers detected 5 intercontinental ballistic missiles launched from the United States. Protocol demanded he report the attack immediately, which would have triggered a full Soviet nuclear retaliation. But Petrov trusted his intuition. He judged it a computer error. He was right. It was a malfunction. By disobeying orders, Stanislav Petrov single-handedly prevented a global nuclear catastrophe. His story was kept secret for decades. Number 7. Vasily Arkhipov. Another Soviet officer, another nuclear crisis. During the Cuban Missile Crisis in 1962, Vasily Arkhipov was aboard a submarine deep underwater near Cuba. American destroyers started dropping depth charges to force the sub to surface. The crew, cut off from communication and believing war had begun, voted to launch a nuclear torpedo. The launch required the agreement of all 3 senior officers. Arkhipov alone refused. He argued for calm and to surface instead. His level-headedness prevented a nuclear strike that would have likely started World War III. Number 6. Alan Turing. You might know this name from movies, but his true impact is often overlooked. Alan Turing was the brilliant British mathematician who cracked the German Enigma code during World War II. His work is estimated to have shortened the war by 2 to 4 years, saving millions of lives. But after the war, his contributions were kept secret. And because he was gay, he was convicted by the British government and subjected to chemical castration. He died by suicide in 1954. A forgotten hero. It took decades for him to receive a posthumous pardon and the public recognition he deserved. Number 5. Henrietta Lacks. This is a different kind of heroism. In 1951, Henrietta Lacks, a young black mother, was dying of cervical cancer. Without her knowledge or consent, doctors at Johns Hopkins Hospital took samples of her tumor. Her cells, nicknamed HeLa, had a unique property. They could survive and multiply indefinitely in a lab. They became the first immortal human cell line. HeLa cells were vital for developing the polio vaccine, chemotherapy, gene mapping, and in vitro fertilization. They have been used in research that has saved countless millions of lives. Yet for years, her family knew nothing about her unintended, monumental contribution to science. Number 4. Bayard Rustin. If you know the 1963 March on Washington and Martin Luther King Jr.'s I Have a Dream speech, you know the work of Bayard Rustin. He was the chief organizer of the march, a master strategist of nonviolent protest. He advised Dr. King and was instrumental in the civil rights movement, but because he was an openly gay man at a time of intense prejudice, he was often forced to work behind the scenes. Opponents used his identity to try to discredit the movement, so Rustin deliberately stayed out of the spotlight to ensure the cause's success. sacrificing personal recognition for the greater good. Number 3. Nancy Wake. The Gestapo called her the White Mouse. She was their most wanted person, and she was a socialite journalist turned fearless spy. Nancy Wake was a leading figure in the French resistance during World War II. She helped smuggle thousands of Allied soldiers and refugees out of occupied France. She parachuted back into France herself, led raids on Nazi installations, and killed a guard with her bare hands. She was a whirlwind of courage, yet after the war, her incredible story remained relatively unknown to the wider world. Number 2. Charles Littler. You know the story of the Titanic, but you may not know Charles Littler. He was the most senior officer to survive the disaster. He strictly enforced the women and children first rule, saving many lives. But his heroism did not end there. Decades later, during the Dunkirk evacuation in World War II, Littler, then in his 60s, took his private motor yacht, the Sundowner, and sailed it across the English Channel himself. And finally, number 1. Simon Wiesenthal. After surviving the Holocaust, Simon Wiesenthal dedicated his life to a single, monumental task: hunting down Nazi war criminals who had escaped justice. He spent decades tirelessly tracking them across the globe, one by one. His most famous capture was Adolf Eichmann, one of the chief architects of the final solution. Wiesenthal's work was a lonely, grueling pursuit of justice for the 6 million. He became the conscience of the world, ensuring that the victims would not be forgotten and that their persecutors would not find peace. These 10 individuals did not seek glory. They acted because it was necessary. They are a reminder that history is not just made by the famous few on the front pages, but also by the quiet, the stubborn, and the brave who choose to do the right thing, no matter the cost. Their legacy is the world they helped save, a world that should know their names. Who is a forgotten hero you think more people should know about? Share your thoughts in the comments below. If you learned something today, feel free to like this video and subscribe for more stories from the hidden corners of history. Thanks for watching.